And we see that just with, I'm thinking about through the pandemic and how our arts organizations and artists responded to that crisis. And it's really astonishing to me that in that moment of crisis, innovation really popped up. And what was a tragic event, and it was a tragic period of time for our country, our artists really stepped up and figured out a way to continue connecting to the public and to each other. And to me, that was like the hallmark or the apex of this ability for our arts community to make transitions, to adapt to changing situations. Yes, it was an uncomfortable period, and we're continuing to come out of that crisis period, both for our economy and for people, in general. And we probably have a long way to go and are never going back, I think, pre-pandemic. I don't think we can return to that. So for me, I mean, the arts are always about looking forward. What is the next movement? What is the next technology that's coming up that's going to help us transition, transform, and move forward in the arts? And you've seen that with every era through time, how artists adapt technology quickly and figure out what to do with it to create. And you'll probably see that with AI as well.
Yeah, yeah. What about collaborations with the communities? What are some of the ways that you've been able to do that?
So when you say community, I think of we have multiples of community within Arlington. It's even though it's such a small area, like I said, 26 square miles. I was astonished when I first came here to find out the number of languages that are spoken in our public schools. I think it's about 100. And one of the interesting things for me working in the arts field has been to look at ways that we can connect with all this diversity and tap into it, right, for the benefit of our entire community. And I think one of the projects that we recently completed that demonstrates that would be our Artist in Residence program with the Arlington Partnership for Affordable Housing. And our public art team created this residency program using public art dollars. So we get public art dollars through site plan processes where developers contribute a certain amount of money to our public art fund. And that includes our affordable housing community when they do their projects. So we were thinking about how do we take these funds and use it for the benefit of the community, of these, affordable housing communities. And Angela Adams and others came up, she's our public art director, came up with this idea of doing an artist in residence program. And we succeeded in getting a grant through the National Endowment for the Arts to launch this artist in residence program. I am so thrilled at what happened in that project and how many people we reached who were not familiar with the arts resources in Arlington. And we're able to work with Asa Jackson, a wonderful artist from Richmond, Virginia, who came here to work in that community. And it was just wonderful. I keep saying the word wonderful. I smile when I think about it because to see a community that may not be able to go out to an event or go to a paid event or has the time to even go because they're working so hard and raising their families, to see them engaged with this artist at their home base, right, their home, and in a wonderful community center that's part of that housing community, and create this wonderful quilt, this wonderful textile work that is now permanently displayed in their community. And Asa was able to weave stories and actual textiles of that community into the final work. And we were able to share it with the broader Arlington community at the Museum of Contemporary Art, Arlington, which is one of our many partners we work with. And the community was able to come to the museum and experience the excitement of having a public, exhibit of the work. And now it's at home with them. So I think that exemplifies the way that we can work with different communities in Arlington. We also, of course, have our mobile artist in residence platform called the Arlington Arts Truck, which again was funded through a National Endowment for the Arts grant. And we are able to pair an artist with a nonprofit organization or a government agency dealing with social issues or topics of concern for our community. And this is a participatory project that goes to different sites around Arlington, public, farmers markets or schools or other public places where the community can just show up and enjoy working on a piece of art with their community and the artist, and also learn about a topic of concern or something that's of interest to them. This has been a highly successful project, and we got that award from the NEA in 2018 to launch it. And I'm just thrilled that it's continuing to go and getting stronger actually as it goes along. We also, of course, work with a number of nonprofit arts organizations in Arlington, performing arts for the most part, theater companies and dance companies, and we have rehearsal space, shared rehearsal space, and theaters that are shared with Arlington Public Schools where they can create new work or musical theater, all different kinds of theater productions and dance productions that are then shared with the community at reasonable ticket prices. So we have a whole gamut of programming that is available for the community, different communities.
Yeah. So from a business perspective, I mean, certainly we've talked a lot about on the show about just kind of the benefits that a thriving arts community brings to the business sector. What should businesses and their employees thinking of, locating to Arlington, what should they expect from the arts sector from that perspective?
So I think Arlington, again, I'm going to go to the Arlington, the unique quality of Arlington, the unique identity of Arlington as I see it. It's both human scaled with global reach. And that is reflected in its arts and its arts community and its arts programming. So I think that, again, with our strong public art program and all of the events that are happening, the arts events in Arlington, I think that they can expect opportunities to experience art every day. And as an economic development organization, we know that investments in support of arts, culture, placemaking, and entertainment are key to protecting and elevating Arlington's unique global identity and reach. So with that in mind, you're going to find creative assets integrated not only into our economic strategy and destination marketing, but in almost every other area, as I was explaining a little bit, throughout affordable housing, different corridors, parks, all the public spaces in Arlington, so that we're building an ecosystem that can support all levels of creatives, from novices and hobbyists to those who wish to pursue a career, and for those who are, just creative or want to participate in a creative event or be with artists or be around artists. We have that. And also the diversity of our arts is extraordinary for such a small community. As I mentioned before, we have a new crop of artists and residents coming into our main building at 3700 South 4 Mile Run. Ethiopian American, African American, a Colombian muralist, and the just rich resources for the arts here. Our history, our geography, our progressive nature as a county and as a community, I think is really a welcoming environment for all businesses and employees from wherever they come from can find a place here.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for joining today. One last question before we wrap up. I mean, I know you've touched on how Arlington is staying innovative and continuing to grow. For those that maybe are, whether they're in the region or outside of the region and want to learn a little bit more about the arts in Arlington, what's the best way for them to do that?
Oh, go to our website, arlingtonarts.org. And we have a number of social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Our Facebook is probably the best resource for what's happening in Arlington, and that's at arts.arlington.
Great. Wonderful. Well, again, I'd like to thank Michelle Isabelle-Stark, Director, Arlington County Cultural Affairs Division, for joining the show. You can learn more about Michelle and Arlington Economic Development by following the links in the show notes.